This page is the front cover of the Nintendo 64 magazine from May 1997. The main games featured are Blastozer and Star Fox 64. Other games mentioned on the cover include Bomberman 64, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Mischief Makers, F1 World Grand Prix, and Earthbound 64. There are also mentions of Japan-only titles like J-League 11 Beat 1997, GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 4, and Doraemon. The cover art includes characters related to Blastozer and Star Fox 64. This page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, known in Japan as Toki Senshi Turok. The advert features artwork of the main character Turok wielding a blade and a dinosaur enemy in the background. It highlights the interactive shooting genre and includes the Nintendo 64 and Acclaim Japan logos. This page is the contents page of the magazine, showcasing a variety of articles. It highlights strategy guides for games like Blastozer and GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 4, Doraemon, Human Grand Prix, and J-League Live 64. Opening information and previews are featured for Star Fox 64 and Bomberman 64, along with J-League 11 Beat 1997. New game information is teased for Mischief Makers, Wild Choppers, Mother 3, Ganbare Goemon 5, Hexen, and other titles including Multi-Racing Championship, Sonic Wings Assault, and Mahjong 64. The page also previews the Tokyo Game Show 97 and includes a column discussing the era of the N64. Regular magazine features are also listed. Screenshots are included from Star Fox 64, Bomberman 64, and J-League 11 Beat 1997. This page is a preview of Star Fox 64 for the Nintendo 64. Focusing on strategies for the early stages of the game. The page features the Star Fox team Fox, Falco, Slippy, and Peppy, and highlights key locations within the game: Corneria, Sector X, and Titania, described as a thorough guide to these areas. The text emphasizes the anticipation for the game's release, stating it's packed with the latest information to prepare players for intense dogfights. The release date is mentioned as April 27th, with a price of 8,700 yen. The preview emphasizes Star Fox 64 as a major evolution for the series on the N64. This manual details the controls and heads-up display, HUD, for piloting the R-Wing in Star Fox 64. The 3D stick controls the R-Wing's nose, crucial for dodging and targeting. R and Z buttons bank the ship, with double taps initiating a roll to deflect enemy fire. A fires weapons, locking onto enemies with a hold, and deploying homing lasers with a second press, or a homing bomb with the B button if available. The B button also fires powerful, limited-use bombs. The HUD displays shield strength and defeated enemies, top left, remaining lives and boost power, top right, a lock-on sight showing wingman positions, center, and a message window for voice-acted dialogue. The next page showcases features for Star Fox 64, known as Lylat Wars outside of North America. It details the C button unit controls, explaining functions like viewpoint switching, which changes camera perspectives in scrolling stages and free-range stages. The communication button allows interaction with allies to receive information and items, including from Great Fox. The boost function accelerates the R-Wing for attacks and evasive maneuvers, while the brake function decelerates the R-Wing for speed control, useful for navigating obstacles like buildings and bridges. The page also covers advanced techniques like the barrel roll and quick turn, explaining their controls and strategic uses in combat, including avoiding back attacks and repositioning. It highlights the game's 4-player split-screen mode for intense battles and dedicated all-range stages. Finally, it promotes the vibration pack compatibility for a more immersive experience, emphasizing the force feedback during explosions, boosts, and damage, and notes the vibration pack is affordably priced. This page is a preview of Mission 1, Corneria, from Star Fox 64. The article describes Corneria as a planet that symbolizes space peace, but it is suddenly attacked by Andorf's army. The player, as Fox, along with the Star Fox team members Falco, Peppy, and Slippy, must confront the enemy. The article highlights the all-range mode, allowing battles in a 360-degree space, and the target lock-on system for engaging large robots in boss battles. Screenshots show gameplay, including dialogue between characters and combat scenarios featuring Fox McCloud in his R-Wing. The text emphasizes the dynamic camera work and exciting battle scenes in the game. It also mentions that impressive demos play at the start and end of stages and feature lively character dialogue. Fox McCloud is highlighted as the team leader, a cool and courageous character. This page is focused on Mission 2 of Star Fox 64, taking place in the Sector X space area. The mission objective is to infiltrate the enemy base and destroy Andross's new weapons. Sector X is described as a stage set in space where buildings float, with forced scrolling gameplay and branching routes that influence enemy types and difficulty. Slippy Toad is featured, highlighting his role in supporting Fox's team and his expertise in mechanics. The page shows screenshots of gameplay, including boss battles where the screen scrolling stops and players face off against large bosses. One boss is described as using a rocket punch attack with a giant hand. It emphasizes the importance of route selection due to varying enemy encounters and difficulty. This page introduces Mission 3, Forbidden Planet Titania, from Star Fox 64. It highlights a new feature, the Landmaster Tank. The text explains that in this stage, players will pilot the Landmaster Tank for ground battles, offering a different gameplay experience from the aerial combat. The page details that the stage takes place on Titania, a desert planet, and enemies here are not Andross's army, but unique creatures. Peppy Hare is featured explaining gameplay tips, such as jumping with the tank and barrel rolling to evade enemy attacks. Slippy is also mentioned as needing rescue on Titania. The screenshots showcase gameplay with the Landmaster Tank in a desert environment, battling enemies and a boss. The text emphasizes that this stage brings a new dimension to Star Fox 64 with ground-based tank combat. The phrase, "Target Lock On," is also prominently displayed, likely indicating a key game mechanic with the tank. This page is dedicated to the game Star Fox 64. It highlights what awaits players further into the game, beyond the initial stages, focusing on the dangerous space ahead. Falco Lombardi is prominently featured, described as Fox's ally and rival, and skilled pilot. The page mentions that even from the very first stage, there are branching routes. The route taken is decided based on meeting certain conditions within the stage, affecting not only the stages encountered, but also the difficulty level. The text suggests that to see all stages, the game is designed to be played multiple times. There are screenshots showing gameplay, including in-game UI elements like shield status and score, and various space environments. The bottom of the page indicates that the next issue will have a complete strategy guide for the game. A section titled Lilat System Map is also visible, suggesting the game's level structure will be detailed. This page is an advertisement for Bomberman 64, highlighting it as a new 3D polygon Bomberman game for the N64. The text emphasizes the exhilarating explosions and the new 3D graphics, saying it's a power-up that will blow away the Earth. The ad mentions it's an N64 original software and encourages players to "Let's Bomber." It also lists the platform as N64, genre as action, and mentions that release date and price are yet to be determined, but it's expected to be released in the summer. The phrase, "Spring Ichiban," at the top left, suggests this is an early announcement or preview for a game anticipated for summer release. The image includes a screenshot of gameplay with Bomberman in a 3D environment and a large 3D Bomberman character illustration at the bottom left. This page is an emergency special report about Bomberman 64. It highlights the game's dramatic evolution into 3D action, focusing on puzzle-solving level design. The game boasts upgraded explosion mechanics, allowing for destruction of not just blocks and enemies, but also buildings and environments. Enemy characters and bosses are also powered up to provide a greater challenge in this 3D world, including gigantic boss encounters. Furthermore, the classic Bomberman multiplayer battle mode supports up to 4 players, promising even more intense and heated battles in 3D arenas compared to the 2D predecessors. This preview emphasizes the excitement and enhanced gameplay experience of Bomberman 64. This page is all about Bomberman 64, showcasing its exciting transition into a 3D action game. It highlights how the gameplay has evolved from 2Ds, with new strategic depth in defeating enemies and navigating environments. The article details the bomb explosions being more realistic and spherical, affecting areas in all directions, and how players will need to be wary of hazards like falling lava rocks. The screenshots show various 3D levels, including a lava-themed stage, a narrow bridge level, and cityscapes, demonstrating the destructible environments and item boxes that can be blown up to gain power-ups to increase bomb capacity. The zoom function is also mentioned as a useful feature for navigating the 3D spaces. Overall, the page emphasizes the fresh action and adventure brought to the Bomberman series with this 3D iteration. This page is all about Bomberman 64. It highlights some fun and interesting aspects of the game. One feature showcased is the Mega Bomb. Described as a bomb developed over 3 years with a cost of 1 billion gold, it's said to be incredibly powerful, capable of destroying buildings and enemies, though its exact power is unknown. The text humorously mentions that even Bomberman might struggle to withstand its blast. The page also discusses defeat patterns, explaining that Bomberman can die in various ways, such as getting caught in explosions from himself or enemies, or by timeout. It mentions the comical Pugu sound effect when defeated, and the numerous defeat patterns in the game, which are entertaining to watch. Another section talks about throwing bombs, bombing attacks, detailing Bomberman's primary attack method, throwing bombs. It explains that in the 3D environment, players can use terrain to their advantage by throwing bombs from higher ground to attack enemies below, allowing for strategic combat without fear of counterattack. Finally, perspective change zoom for easy viewing is covered. The article mentions that Bomberman 64 uses a quarter-view perspective, and when obstacles obscure the view, players can use zoom or perspective changes to ensure visibility and avoid blind spots. It notes that the operation method for this is still unclear, but it's designed to make Bomberman's actions more enjoyable with various camera work techniques. It shows examples of camera movement following Bomberman as he walks and climbs ladders for better visibility. This page features J-League 11 Beat 1997 for the N64, a soccer game emphasizing fun and accessible gameplay with polygon characters in 3D fields. It highlights simple controls using the 3D stick and A/B buttons, enabling actions like jump volleys easily. The game boasts dynamic camera work focused on the ball, original club creation, customizable formations changeable during matches, and multiplayer options. Various game modes and controller pack support for saving original club data are also mentioned. The game is presented as being focused on enjoyable gameplay over strict soccer realism. Dual Heroes for the N64 is a 3D space battle game featuring Virtual Gamer, a single-player mode with dynamically reacting opponents. The game emphasizes 3D combat with simple controls, utilizing the A, B, C, down button, and Z triggers. Players can execute command techniques through button combinations. It offers Story, Virtual Gamer, and 2P modes with 8 playable characters. The combat system incorporates elemental attributes, fire, wind, water, ice, influencing fighting styles, special moves, and power clashes achieved through motion capture. Developers focused on a deep fighting experience, aiming to appeal to both hardcore and casual players by balancing simple controls with cool characters. This page is dedicated to the N64 game Blast Dozier. It highlights strategy tips, suggesting that despite appearances, the game requires tactical and detailed play. The tips emphasize mastering the operation of each machine and memorizing stage maps. The player's mission is to clear paths for runaway trailers and destroy buildings in polluted areas across 20 main stages, with the goal of achieving gold medals on every stage. The page promotes a complete destruction lecture to help players achieve a gold clear on all 20 main stages, promising an explosive strategy. It also mentions the game is currently on sale for 6,800 yen. This page is an introduction to the Nintendo 64 game Blast Dozier. It explains that in the main stages of the game, there are 2 missions to complete: securing the path of the trailer and cleaning up the polluted areas. Mission 1 is about ensuring the path of a runaway trailer that carries dangerous chemicals. Players must prevent collisions to avoid explosions. Completing this mission secures a gold medal. Mission 2 involves cleaning up the polluted area after securing the trailer's path. This requires destroying all buildings and activating 100 RDUs to fully clean the environment. A gold medal for this mission is only awarded upon achieving 100% completion, and players can retry this mission as many times as needed. Completing both missions perfectly awards 2 gold medals per stage. Besides the main missions, the page mentions sub-stage time attacks in stages without trailers, where medals are awarded based on clear time. Another challenge is to find 6 hidden chemists in each stage, which is necessary for fully completing the game. Screenshots illustrate the missions, showing gameplay with explosions, building destruction, and time attack stages. The next page is a guide focused on gameplay techniques for Blast Dozier. It highlights key strategies under the title Destruction Technique Collection. The page advises players to effectively use the radar to locate goals, trailers, and destructible buildings. It also emphasizes adjusting camera angles for optimal play, especially switching to a top-down view when maneuvering close to the trailer. Another key tip is to strategically switch between different machines depending on the situation. The guide notes that the game's controls are like radio-controlled cars, particularly when reversing, requiring careful handling. Specifically for the ramdozer, or bulldozer, it recommends gentle and deliberate pushing to avoid errors, especially when dealing with TNT or panels. This page is a strategy guide for the N64 game Blast Dozer. It offers various tips and tricks to master the game's destruction mechanics. Firstly, it highlights that communication bases, which unlock substages, are hidden in unexpected locations, requiring thorough searching. Touching a base will reveal a white ring. Secondly, it explains that buildings have varying strengths on different sides. Players are encouraged to attack from multiple angles, suggesting trailer slides for tougher structures to find the weak points. The guide also reveals that destruction isn't limited to just buildings. Ships, lighthouses like Moai statues, and glowing orbs can also be destroyed to reach 100% completion in each stage. Some objects might need specific machines to be destroyed, and persistence is key to finding everything. Terrain exploitation is another tip. Utilizing small hills to launch your machine into the air and then ramming into buildings is an effective technique, particularly crucial in later, time-sensitive stages. Exploration is emphasized, especially in sea areas, which often contain hidden destructible objects. Players should thoroughly check the sky and rotate the camera to ensure nothing is missed to achieve a perfect 100% destruction rate. Finally, the page focuses on the tail slide technique, explaining it's vital for mastering Blast Dozer. Precise control of tail slides allows for the destruction of large numbers of buildings simultaneously, a skill considered essential for advanced players. It is shown through in-game screenshots. This section is titled Machine Driving Lecture 2 and highlights backlash as a core mechanic. The next page is a strategy guide for Blast Core on Nintendo 64, titled Stage Destruction Tactics. It provides tips for 3 stages: Simian Village, Black Ridge Factory, and Carrick Port, giving each stage a difficulty rating of A or C. For Simian Village, the guide recommends getting used to the ramdozer and destroying buildings along the trailer's path for route clearance, and destroying all buildings for complete destruction. Black Ridge Factory suggests mastering the ramdozer and being mindful of the trailer's path, with complete destruction requiring finding hidden RDUs. Carrick Port advises going around to secure the route and using the Thunder Fist and missiles to destroy the castle and boats for complete destruction. There's also a section on Machine Handling Lecture 3 about using aerial attacks in the Skyfall stage for maximum destruction, recommending using boost jumps and valleys to attack buildings from above. This guide details strategies for the N64 game Blast Dozer, focusing on Havoc City and Argent Subway. Havoc City covers hidden secrets in the sea, including destroying bridge piers with J-bombs to find light orbs. Other sections describe destroying large orbs, activating RDUs in an underwater passage, and using J-bombs to clear a path after crossing the river. Argent Subway explains how to access and utilize the subway. This involves moving a panel, using the ramdozer, and deploying Barista's missiles to reach the J-bomb location. The guide stresses the importance of mastering the tailslide maneuver and securing a path. A machine handling lecture section focuses on optimizing sideswipe attacks with the Blast Dozer, emphasizing finding the correct distance for effectiveness. This page is a strategy guide for the N64 game, likely called Ballista, based on the vehicle shown. It provides gameplay tips for 2 levels, Shatori Valley and Outland Farm. For Shatori Valley, the guide emphasizes using turbo attacks from cliff edges to quickly destroy buildings. It also points out mirror balls, floating targets in the north and south map areas, which can be reached by using turbo attacks as jumps from holes in the ground. The level is good for practicing skyfall attacks, essentially falling attacks from high places. Finding 100 RDUs in this large valley level requires exploring the entire area, with many RDUs located in the central map region. For Outland Farm, the guide suggests using bumps in the terrain to quickly destroy buildings. In areas with dense buildings, especially in the central zone, precise tailslides are recommended. The area behind the starting point has a communication base and RDUs. Using protrusions in the environment allows for quick destruction of buildings without needing tailslides. Simply drive onto the protrusion and directly into the buildings. A section titled Machine Handling Lesson 5 focuses on mastering missile trajectory. It highlights that understanding missile trajectory is crucial for playing Ballista effectively, especially for destroying ships at sea and performing long-range attacks. Missile ammo is limited, making accurate trajectory control important. The guide states that destroying ships is impossible without using missiles. This guide offers strategies for Blast Core on Nintendo 64. Beton Railway, difficulty C, involves crane manipulation and TNT to demolish a building. Eco Valley, difficulty C, requires using a boat as a stepping stone to guide a trailer safely. Section A instructs players to use a car to quickly return to the J-bomb after moving a train to a trailer platform. Section B details reaching a communication base atop a pillar in Pillar Forest using the J-bomb. Machine Riding Lecture 6 emphasizes Z-trigger control for aerial stability and maneuvering with the J-bomb, especially in challenging environments. The J-bomb itself is described as a flying blastozer. This guide provides level walkthroughs for Cromlech City, level 10, and Ebony Coast, level 11, in a game. Cromlech City emphasizes speed and destructive power via spin attacks, rated D for progression and A for complete destruction. Ebony Coast focuses on solving the Moai statue mystery for a gold medal, using smooth train movement and TNT to destroy buildings. Difficulty is rated D for progression and E for complete destruction. The Ebony Coast walkthrough details using TNT to destroy a tunnel, transporting it by train, and destroying the Moai statue. It hints at hidden J-bombs and suggests island exploration for full completion. The guide also features tutorials for Machine Riding Class 7, covering boost, rotation attacks, spin attack run-up, and the timing of Thunder Fist punches. The next page is about gameplay strategies for two levels, Ironstone Mine and Tempest City, both with a difficulty rating of D. For Ironstone Mine, the strategy focuses on using side attacks to clear buildings efficiently with a trailer. Be mindful of the limited number of side attacks available. The complete destruction strategy points to a ram dozer located in the south of the map, hidden in a cliff. The guide explains that you need to approach the ram dozer on foot, as you cannot directly drive a machine to it. After reaching the ram dozer, you can use a crane to lift it to the iron tower to destroy it. For Tempest City, the main strategy is to destroy walls with missiles. The walls are tough, but continuous missile attacks will break them. Destroying a section of the wall reveals a slope allowing you to proceed upwards. The guide mentions that ballista missiles are not very powerful and advises being mindful of ammunition. The page also features Machine Riding Lecture 8, focusing on the Cyclone suit, emphasizing the importance of maintaining distance from buildings to effectively use its special move. It highlights that while its destructive power is significant, securing sufficient running distance is crucial. Finally, the page showcases the Blastozer Cyclone suit, describing it as having a small body and immense power. This page is focused on strategies for the N64 game Blast Core. It highlights tips for two stages, Blacktown and Diamond Desert. For the Blacktown stage, the guide advises using the Cyclone vehicle and its somersault attack effectively to destroy buildings, emphasizing precision for a perfect score. The Diamond Desert section focuses on using tail slides to quickly destroy multiple buildings at once, noting the stage demands speed and accuracy to avoid timeouts. There's also a tip about using TNT strategically in stages, particularly towards the end, to clear large obstacles, stressing careful placement. Lastly, a section on train operation explains the importance of stopping the train at the correct marked position, using the Z trigger for the brake, to progress without issue. Screenshots illustrate gameplay scenarios in these stages. This page is a strategy guide for Blast Core, focusing on two stages, Angel City and Ember Country. For Angel City, it mentions that using the terrain effectively makes it easier, and gives it an E difficulty rating, suggesting it's an easy stage. The guide advises using tail slides to destroy the first 3 buildings in Angel City, and to use the inclines to destroy buildings quickly, suggesting it's crucial for progressing efficiently and saving time. For the last building in Angel City, it recommends destroying it from the east side. For Ember Country, the guide mentions that finding the Cyclone suit makes it easier, and rates it as B difficulty. It highlights that the Cyclone suit is not hidden within a building, making it easier to find early in the stage. The guide also features a section about using the crane effectively, emphasizing that it's not just for moving cargo, but can be used with TNT to destroy buildings. It warns about the importance of placing cargo in the center of the crane platform to prevent it from falling during transport. The next page features gameplay tips for Blast Core. The Glory Road section highlights using backlash repeatedly, emphasizing securing a route by destroying buildings efficiently. The difficulty is rated C. It describes using tail slides to destroy many buildings while rotating, and advises against crashing into trailers when using this technique. There's a mention of a suspicious tunnel which might lead to something interesting hidden in the stage, asking players to investigate what's at the end. The Crystal Village section focuses on using skyfall attacks effectively. It notes the stage has little time to spare, especially at the start when chasing the trailer. The difficulty is D. It advises using skyfall from cliffs to destroy obstacles in the trailer's path and emphasizes efficient destruction to save time. There's also a tip on pressing a panel to access a minivan, requiring navigation through a tunnel, and a location for an RDU in the north of the map, near a communications base, in a narrow passage. Finally, a machine handling lecture segment emphasizes the importance of the boat's stopping position for carrying machines and TNT. It warns that incorrect positioning at the designated Nikochan mark will prevent unloading TNT or machines, advising players to use the Z trigger for precise boat placement. This strategy guide focuses on Blast Corps' Oyster Port level, level 20. The level requires strategic use of vehicles and missiles. Key strategies include using ballista missiles to clear a path for the ramdozer by destroying containers. The crane on the bridge must be used to drop TNT onto the bridge before a trailer arrives. Panel placement in the 6 holes requires a specific order, starting with 2 diamond-shaped panels in the eastern part of the map. Transporting TNT to a building in front of the goal requires quick action before a trailer passes. Finally, activating the communication base necessitates long-range missile fire from the ballista, followed by on-foot activation due to the base's elevated location. The level also includes machine writing information. The next page is a strategy guide focused on GQ Powerful Pro Yakyu 4, a baseball game for the N64, which was only released in Japan. This guide is all about mastering the success mode, a player development mode. It breaks down the basics of player training, emphasizing core fundamentals first. It then covers effective training methods, recommending running and long throws to reduce injury risk and build stamina before more intense training. The guide stresses the importance of having a clear goal when developing players, such as creating a home run hitter or a strong defender, as skills are limited and unfocused training can lead to mediocre results. It also highlights the advantages of having a girlfriend in the game, as she can boost motivation and condition, essential for creating top players. Finally, it warns about the strategic use of Dr. Dio's surgery, as the stat boosts are limited and should only be used when truly necessary for your player's development. The guide also includes screenshots of gameplay menus and scenarios, demonstrating these strategies in action. This page is packed with advanced techniques for developing players in GQ Powerful Pro Yakyu 4. It emphasizes focusing on player attributes from the start, mentioning that aiming for a fast pitcher with low ball speed is inefficient. The page discusses adjusting the timing for promoting players to the first team, suggesting delaying promotion to maximize their abilities. There's a section about a girlfriend's gift, a book called Baseball Superhuman Legend, which can erase minuses and grant special abilities in areas like pitching and fielding. It also delves into the Daizyobu doctor's resurgery method, detailing steps to potentially restore abilities after a failed surgery event in the game. The page then moves to data utilization, covering meet Carcel and form for batters and parameter changes based on practice menus. Tables are shown detailing how different training drills affect player stats like power, agility, technique, stamina, and control. It explains initial values for pitcher stats like speed, stamina, and control, depending on their background, and also how to determine the type of pitches a player will have. The article also highlights the probability of creating special players, with examples of players appearing at rates of 1 in 256 and 1 in 1024, each with specific high stats and special abilities like shoulder and elbow bombs and being prone to failure. These sections seem to provide deep insights into the game's mechanics for player development and hidden features. This page looks like a strategy guide for a baseball game, likely from the GQ Powerful Pro Yakyu series, although it's not explicitly named here. It details the rules for learning breaking balls, mentioning that learning more types becomes harder and is affected by player condition. There's a section on secret data for both fielders and pitchers, covering birthdays, initial player evaluation, which is impacted by contract money, illnesses and their treatments, and injuries. The page further explains shoulder and elbow bombs, which are injuries related to increased ball speed from training. It outlines what's needed to play in matches, like contract money and coach evaluation levels, and the conditions for promotion to the first team. Contract renewal details are also provided. Finally, there's a large section dedicated to evaluation screen messages from various coaches and teammates, including the manager, teammates, hitting coach, bob coach, defense coach, Ijima Coach, Hanada Coach, and Development Coach, showing example dialogues and feedback players might receive in the game based on their performance and relationships. The next page delves into secret player data for a baseball game, very likely from the powerful Pro Baseball series, focusing on strategic gameplay tips. The page highlights offensive viewpoint data, giving players insights into batting and fielding, explaining how player positions, power levels, and various stats influence gameplay. It also details special abilities and their effectiveness, describing unique skills like good release for pitchers, improving control and deception, winning luck, which boosts a team's hitting power when behind, mood swings affecting player performance based on condition, and sudden illness causing pitchers to throw hittable pitches unexpectedly. The page also introduces Japan's Original Team Challenge, a contest inviting players to create their own custom baseball teams within the game's success mode and arrangement mode. It outlines the steps to participate, including creating a team, saving it to a controller pack, and sending it in for a national tournament. The competition progresses through stages to determine league representatives, and finally, a Japan Series champion. The page mentions prizes for participants and winners, including cash and merchandise. This page is dedicated to the Nintendo 64 game Doraemon, Nobita, and the Three Fairy Spirit Stones, an action title by Epoch Company, Limited. The article offers strategy tips, focusing on collecting spirit stones and secret tools across the game's stages. It mentions character analysis and essential battle tactics, including boss encounters. There's also a giveaway campaign offering the game to 10 lucky readers. The main text promises that reading this guide will be very helpful for players. Screenshots show in-game scenes featuring Doraemon and his friends battling monsters and exploring different environments. Before playing Doraemon N64, master these tips. Firstly, freely switch the camera angle. Secondly, prioritize jumping over weapons against weaker enemies. Thirdly, use the Anywhere door in the pause menu to recover HP, except during boss fights. Fourthly, rematch bosses after clearing a stage to obtain the Mini Doraemon for a 1 UP. Finally, understand each character's strengths. Doraemon is average, Nobita excels at ranged attacks, Shizuka is mobile, Tsuneo is fast and strong, and Giant has high defense and attack power. This game is likely Doraemon, Nobita, and the Revival of the Stars. This strategy guide for the Japan-exclusive Nintendo 64 game Doraemon, Nobita to Fukatsu no Hoshi, specifically covers the Earth world. It offers a concise chart and stage-by-stage advice. Stage 1, set in a grassy field, recommends gadgets like the air cannon and champion glove, focusing on coin collection and strategic falls. Stage 2, also in the grassy field, highlights gadgets such as the Spirit Stone and Through Hoop, emphasizing switch usage and hidden passages. Stage 3 introduces a dangerous Red River environment. Key gadgets include the Shockwave Pistol and Repellent Seal, with the goal of finding a giant rat while avoiding falls. Stage 4 takes place in a volcanic area, with restricted movement and lava hazards, utilizing the Echo Mountain gadget and emphasizing careful movement to overcome obstacles and defeat the boss. Players are advised to talk to a rat after clearing this stage to receive the Shockwave Pistol. This page is a strategy guide for the Nintendo 64 game Doraemon, Nobita, and the Three Fairy Spirit Stones. It details the ocean world section of the game, providing a shortest route chart for clearing stages 2, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Stage 5 reveals hidden tools, like the Ocean Spirit Stone, Gene Mike, Time Furoshiki, and Small Light. The guide advises players to first speak to the fairy located near the lakeside to get hints. Stage 6's hidden tools include the Ocean Spirit Stone, Great Up Liquid, Deep Sea Cream, and another unknown item. The goal is to win against the three brothers in a race. The guide emphasizes the importance of the Great Up Liquid and caution on the last corner of the racetrack. Stage 7 lists hidden tools such as the Ocean Spirit Stone, Techiolite, Jack Bean, and an unknown item. It reveals secrets about the boss location and provides visual guides with numbered markers to reach the boss, suggesting using specific tricks. Stage 8's secret tool is unknown. It gives advice on using stacked boards as footing and cautions players to pay attention to where they walk to avoid falling, suggesting there's treasure like the Ocean Key hidden in a treasure chest. The page includes screenshots depicting gameplay and key moments from each stage, including character interactions, racing scenes, and puzzle elements. This page of the magazine is a walkthrough guide for the Skyworld section of Pilotwings 64. It breaks down stages 9 through 12, offering tips and hints for each. Stage 9 is about precise jumps on platforms, emphasizing that falling results in instant death. Stage 10 focuses on enemies that appear to be in formations and highlights that simply getting the Spirit Stone is not enough to clear the stage. Stage 11 warns players to stay humble and remember the basics on a stage with many moving platforms, suggesting viewpoint changes, and using the Z trigger to descend, and to be careful on the moon. Finally, Stage 12 is set in Sky Castle, described as the most difficult, requiring careful control and defeating the Demon King, and showing moving platforms and questioning why there is an owl. Each stage guide also lists secret tools to be found, and the screenshots show gameplay examples from each of these stages, including platforming sections and enemies. This page is a strategy guide focused on boss battles in the Nintendo 64 game Doraemon, a game released only in Japan. It provides tactics for defeating 6 of the game's bosses. The first boss, Ponta from Stage 1, is weak in the belly and requires the air cannon to defeat, advising players to wait for him to crouch before attacking. Minotaurus, the Stage 4 boss, is vulnerable in the head and needs to be jumped on to take damage, with a trick to easily land on his back after the initial head jump. Captain Daikotsu in Stage 7 is surrounded by Hitodama and sea goblins, recommending ranged attacks and retreating when he turns transparent. Big Santa, the Stage 8 boss, is accompanied by snowmen and is weak in the head. Players should avoid snowmen and attack Santa right after his attacks. Harpy from Stage 9 is a flying enemy that circles a pillar, suggesting a kick attack when she descends, and using pinch attacks afterwards. Lastly, Centaur in Stage 12, a talkative boss, changes form in 2 stages and is weak to dash attacks, with Gien's dash attack being particularly effective. Each boss section also suggests a recommended Doraemon character to use for the battle, such as Doraemon, Shizuka, Nobita, Gien, or Tsuneo. This page is all about the N64 game Human Grand Prix, the new generation. It's a strategy guide focused on helping players become world champions. The page highlights dealing with changing weather conditions in the game's World Grand Prix mode, noting that weather can change between sunny, cloudy, and rainy. Rain impacts visibility and makes the track slippery, advising players to switch to rain tires early. The article also introduces basic and advanced techniques for faster racing, aiming to fully explain course strategy. This page provides gameplay tips for Human Grand Prix, the new generation on the N64. It advises players to monitor their machine's condition, as fuel and tire wear are simulated in real time, indicated by color-changing meters. Slipstreaming is highlighted as a key technique for overtaking opponents, with a green light indicating when you are in a slipstream. The guide emphasizes manually shifting gears, especially upshifting, to avoid engine blowouts, warning about the red rev zone. Different camera viewpoints are discussed, recommending the in-car camera for better sensation and course visibility. Cornering techniques like out-and-out and Senna ride, tapping the accelerator, are explained to improve corner exit speeds. For time attack mode, setting fuel to minimum and tires to D is suggested for faster times. Pit stops are described as time-consuming, with tire changes, refueling, and wing replacements taking several seconds, urging players to avoid accidents. Finally, aggressive blocking tactics are recommended when defending against opponents from behind, as the game supposedly does not penalize rear collisions. This page is all about racing game strategies for different track types in a racing game, likely F-Zero X, with advice tailored to each style. It details 4 course categories: technical, high speed, medium high speed, and public road. For technical courses like Argentina or Spain, the key is mastering corners and balancing speed with cornering ability, advising reduced speed before tight curves to avoid course outs. High-speed courses, exemplified by England and Germany, prioritize top speed and cornering endurance, recommending top speed-focused setups but suggesting wing adjustments for medium-speed corner sections. Medium high-speed courses, such as Australia and Canada, test driving skill and require balanced high-speed and cornering settings, emphasizing corner exits. Public road courses, like Monaco, are narrow and unforgiving, demanding courageous driving and cornering-focused setups due to continuous curves and limited straightaways. The page includes screenshots from the game illustrating these course types and providing visual context to the racing strategies discussed. An interview with the developers of Human Grand Prix for the Nintendo 64 reveals the game builds upon its Super Famicom predecessors, boasting 22 car races with full polygon graphics, a key advancement, detailed car and driver settings, including internal parameters, influence performance, encompassing factors like engine, chassis, driver, and team strength. Developers recommend realistic racing strategies like slow in, fast out, and careful manual transmission use to avoid damage. The article includes developer-recommended car settings for various courses globally, along with before and after screenshots demonstrating improved lap times achieved by implementing those configurations. This page is a strategy guide for J-League Live 64 on the N64, focusing on defensive techniques. It advises players to avoid constantly switching cursors when defending against dribbling opponents, instead using the currently controlled player to chase and defend. For tight marking, it emphasizes positioning defenders between the opponent and the goal, using the A button tackle and sliding tackle when needed. The guide also highlights the importance of cursor color in defense, warning players to pay attention to it to avoid mistakes, especially when the opponent is about to pass. The next page is all about attack techniques for a soccer game, which appears to be J-League 11 Beat 1997. It talks about favoring dribbling over passing when facing markers, suggesting zigzag dribbling. For dashing, it recommends rapidly pressing the C button for a quick burst, especially to get past opponents directly in front. The page then explains how and when to use passbacks, highlighting their usefulness for quick 1-2 passes or when timing is tight. It specifically mentions using passbacks for switching to the side of the field, passing to open teammates, and using them effectively against both computer and human opponents to break through defenses. Finally, it introduces shot patterns based on success rate. Long shots are rated A and are good when defenses are pass-focused, aiming for rebounds. Direct shots from centering are rated B and are harder to execute, even if centering is easy. Lastly, shots designed to lure out the goalkeeper with a sideways pass are rated C as a difficult, high-level move that's not always effective unless the goal is wide open, but worth trying. This page is all about the Nintendo 64 game Mischief Makers, known in Japan as Yuk Troublemakers. It's described as a pretty action game starring Marina-chan, a cheerful maid robot created by Professor Ganbel. The page highlights two key aspects of the game. Firstly, it emphasizes the cute conversations in the game, noting that Marina is always energetic and might suddenly start singing. You can even have conversations with some of the Nendoros. The voice actress for Marina-chan is revealed to be Mami Suzuki, described as Japan's #1 Mami-chan, for playing cute and energetic roles. Secondly, the page discusses Marina's surprisingly sturdy body, despite her appearance. She's a maid robot but not easily defeated, with a strong body and HP that allows her to withstand multiple attacks, and even if you run out of HP, you can continue if you have continue crystals. The game is an Enix title, described as a high-spirited action game with red circle checks, implying quality, and promises a fun experience with Marina-chan. The release date is listed as May 18th, with the price yet to be determined. This page is a guide to the basic actions in the N64 game Mischief Makers, known in Japan as Yuk Troublemakers. It highlights the key moves for the main character, Marina-chan, who is described as a high-performance robot. The third scan section details basic actions like jumping, hovering in the air, and stash movement. It also explains the standard dash and rolling maneuvers, emphasizing their usefulness in both ground and air. One funny move shown is rope skipping, laughs, featuring Marina jumping over spiky enemies. The fourth S-Scan section covers grabbing and throwing, showcasing Marina's ability to grab almost anything. It mentions that while Marina is a super capable maid robot, she can't punch enemies directly, making grabbing and throwing essential for combat. The page also details actions like swinging grabbed objects and carrying things, suggesting puzzle solving and environmental interaction elements within the game. It hits at uncovering hidden items by swinging objects and emphasizes the strategic use of grabbing and throwing against enemies, even large bosses. This page is showcasing two major bosses from a game, likely for the N64, although the game title itself is not explicitly stated. The first boss highlighted is Steinger, from the Three Big Bosses #1 section. Steinger is described as commanding the Nendo Robo Army's land forces, appearing before Marina-chan on the Road Striker vehicle. The text details his attack patterns, mentioning missiles and lasers in robot form and a four-legged walking form. The strategy to defeat him is described as a two-stage attack, encouraging players to defeat him quickly. There are screenshots showing gameplay with Stinger in action, including laser attacks and the player character engaging him. The second boss is Goriate, from the Three Big Bosses number 2 section. Goriate is described as a yellow body power type heavy tank. He is a ground force commander who pilots the Grandbuster tank. His attacks are described as powerful, with one hit being potentially fatal. The text mentions the Grandbuster in robot form and encourages players to show Marina-chan how to win against him. Screenshots illustrate Goriate's tank form and gameplay action, where he seems to be performing an uppercut attack. Both bosses, Stinger and Goriate, along with other Nendorobo bosses, are mentioned as being surprisingly likable, despite being evil antagonists. This page showcases enemy characters from the game Mischief Makers, known in Japan as Yuk, troublemakers. The page highlights the boss character Baron, describing him as a large aerial commander robot, a key figure in the game. It emphasizes that battles with Baron take place in the sky, and he attacks from all directions using spears and shields, making him a challenging opponent. The page also introduces the Nendoro Corps, a diverse group of enemies Marina-chan will face. These enemies are described as magical monsters and robots that take on animal forms, each with unique attacks and abilities. Screenshots show various Nendoro enemies in action and different game environments, hinting at the variety of challenges players can expect. The text suggests that these enemy characters are designed to be both formidable and engaging for players. This page is a preview for the N64 game Wild Choppers. It introduces the game as a 3D shooting game, where up to 8 players can pilot helicopters to take down military terrorists. The game emphasizes realistic helicopter controls and intense dogfights, promising a new level of excitement in the 3D shooting genre. The page details 2 helicopters, the Sky Turbo, favored by pilot Mike Roberts, which is described as a balanced machine used by Mike since his military days, and the Hard Bull, preferred by pilot Johnny Gibb, known for its aggressive performance but with weaker armor. The pilots are introduced with brief backstories. Mike Roberts is a former U.S. Marine helicopter pilot who left the military due to insubordination, and Johnny Gibb is also a former U.S. Marine helicopter pilot known for his wild personality and driven by the loss of his wife to terrorism. The game features a mission titled Leader Destruction. The gameplay is described as visually 3D but with 2D gameplay feel for easy hit detection. The next page features information on a helicopter combat game, highlighting 2 playable helicopters, the Firecat and the Whale 32. The Firecat is described as well-balanced and easy for beginners, with stats for speed, acceleration, shield, and power, all rated at 3 out of 5 stars. The Whale 32 is a larger, more durable helicopter, emphasizing endurance over speed, with speed and acceleration at 2 stars, shield and power at 4 stars. The page then details special weapons available in the game, such as missiles, which fly straight, homing missiles that lock onto targets, cluster bombs for area damage, rocket bombs that fire multiple rockets, and dummy bombs to evade enemy missiles. Screenshots accompany each weapon description, showing them in action. Finally, the page introduces 2 pilot characters. Emma Baldwin, who pilots the Firecat and is described as unaware of the world and creating problems, and Danny Gregg, piloting the Whale 32, a former Navy Special Forces helicopter unit member who is family-oriented and perhaps not suited for battle. This page previews the game Wild Choppers for the N64. It introduces 2 helicopters, the Wasp and the Gaga, detailing their stats in speed, acceleration, shield, and power using star ratings. The page explains that Wild Choppers carries over damage and ammo from previous missions, encouraging players to conserve resources. It highlights submissions, like rescuing prisoners, which offer bonus rewards. Gameplay tips are provided, such as needing money for powerful weapons, and advising players to destroy prisoner-holding facilities before rescuing them by dropping markers at helipads. There are mission briefings for submission, hidden instructions and radar destruction, and character introductions for Andy Follows, the leader of the Blade equals Wolf helicopter team, and Hiromitsu Goodman, a mysterious repairman working near a U.S. military facility. This page is showcasing the game Air Force Delta, known as Deadly Skies in the U.S. and Air Embo in Europe. It introduces 2 helicopters, the Retsu, described as older but still capable, favored by Jun's father, with good speed but weaker in other areas, and the Kolinsky, Alicia's preferred helicopter, suitable for various equipment and weather conditions, boasting balanced stats and durability. The page highlights missions 2, 3, and 4. Mission 2 is about retaking their own army. Mission 3 focuses on destroying underground facilities, and Mission 4 involves annihilating transportation units. Character profiles are provided for Jun Moto Fuji, a veteran helicopter pilot who grew up around helicopters, and Alicia Anderson, a former Army helicopter pilot known as the Ice Woman, who prefers the Kolinsky and is calm and collected in action. The next page is focused on Mother 3 for the Nintendo 64, hinting at a possible subtitle related to forest and pig as keywords. The article delves into these keywords, suggesting that pig is significant, referencing pig-like soldiers and vehicles within the game. It even speculates that Porky, a character from Earthbound, Mother 2, on the Super Famicom, might reappear in some form. Screenshots showcase in-game scenes with these pig elements, including vehicles referred to as pig cars and pig wagons, and a character who is implied to be a traveling merchant using these pig-drawn vehicles. The page also introduces a monster called Pukiel, described as pig-like and fish-like, and hints that more pig-related monsters may appear in the game. An interview snippet mentions Porky's importance in the story of Mother 3, reinforcing his likely return and significant role. This page focuses on the game Chimera no Mori, highlighting the forest as a key element and possibly even the protagonist of the story. It questions what chimera means, providing a definition from both Greek mythology and biology, describing it as a hybrid creature or organism composed of different genetic makeups. The page introduces the pork bean, a vehicle described as fast and potentially used by soldiers. It discusses soldiers called Boo-Boo, who appear to be pig-like characters ranked by their helmet color. Bowie with a red helmet is the highest rank. Boo with a gray helmet is a sergeant, and Bohi with a green helmet is a private second class. The page also wonders about other soldier types with brown and silver helmets. This page is a preview for the Nintendo 64 game Ganbare Goemon 5, the Dance of the Neo-Momoyama Shogunate, known internationally as Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. Hailing. It announces the game's story opening and is presented by Ebimaru. The preview details the game's initial scenes, starting in Oedo Castletown, where an incident has occurred. Goemon finds the bridges to the castle are destroyed, and needs to investigate further. He heads to Hagure Town to gather information from the locals, learning that a crucial item to enter Oedo Castle is located on Mount Fuji. Screenshots showcase gameplay in Oedo Castletown, Hagure Town with Goemon talking to townspeople, and a mountain path on Mount Fuji with Goemon running and battling enemies. The game, developed by Konami as an action title, was scheduled for a spring release in Japan. The next page showcases scenes from Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. Scene 3 is set at Mount Fuji, emphasizing its immense size and tasks players with finding items to return to Oedo Castle. Scene 4 is set inside Oedo Castle, highlighting a bizarre environment filled with traps and enemies like horseshoe crabs. Scene 5 details the stage structure of Goemon 5, which is divided into roads, castles, and towns, featuring famous locations that vary by region, culminating in a grand hall where a giant statue awaits. This page is an introduction to the Nintendo 64 game Hexen. The game's story involves the evil sorcerer Korax, who has plunged the world into darkness, and the player, as a hero, must face what awaits. The page highlights the character selection aspect, offering 3 classes: fighter, cleric, and mage. The fighter is described as unable to use magic, but possessing high speed, power, and defense, making them suitable for beginners. The cleric has balanced abilities across the board and uses blunt weapons. The mage specializes in long-range magic from the start but has low attack power. Screenshots showcase gameplay and character stats like speed, armor, magic, and strength for each class. The game is listed for the N64 and priced at 8,800 yen. This page is focused on the game Darkstone. It highlights that this sword and magic fantasy action game has 30 stages filled with traps, and the goal is to defeat the evil sorcerer Korax at the deepest point. It notes that the game has adjustable graphics modes, smooth for a smooth image, and zoom for detailed graphics. The page then describes the multiplayer features, emphasizing it's playable from 1 to 4 players. Co-op mode lets players tackle the story together, while Versus Mode is a survival game where players choose a stage and compete to be the last one standing. It's mentioned that co-op is great for clearing difficult stages, and Versus is different from the story mode, offering a new way to enjoy the game. The page suggests that in Versus Mode, getting items faster than your opponent is key, and item respawn and map settings are customizable. The final text encourages players to either cooperate or compete with everyone. This page is dedicated to the N64 game Multi-Racing Championship, an eagerly awaited racing title. The page highlights the unveiling of new screenshots and explores two major elements that define the game's appeal. The central concept is multi-racing, where courses feature branching paths, allowing players to discover their unique racing style. Tracks offer diverse road conditions, including snow and dirt, emphasizing the importance of mastering control on any surface to achieve victory. The checkpoint system is explained, with branch markers appearing in advance of intersections to guide players in choosing their desired route. Multi-Racing Championship, developed by Imagineer for the N64, is a racing game slated for release in Japan during June, and it appears this title was not released outside of Japan. The next page is about the upcoming racing game, F-Zero X. It highlights two key features: different camera viewpoints and car customization. The first section introduces the rear viewpoint, which provides a clearer view of the track and opponent positions, and the driver viewpoint for a more immersive and speed-focused experience. It also points out the back mirror feature to keep an eye on rivals. The second section focuses on the machine select screen, emphasizing the importance of car customization for varied road conditions like snow and rough terrain. It showcases the machine select screen, where players can view car stats and adjust settings like suspension for optimal performance. This page showcases character setting illustrations for the game Sonic Wings Assault. It introduces three characters: the main character, Grinda, and Volk. The main character is described as someone who appears childish, but is actually quite knowledgeable. Grinda is a woman with a cool demeanor but passionate nature, and Volk is portrayed as a veteran with a weathered face and a pipe. Each character is associated with a specific aircraft. The main character pilots the F-14B Tomcat, Grinda flies the A-10A Thunderbolt II, and Volk commands the Su-35 Superflanker. The game is highlighted for its focus on boss characters and realistic battle scenes, a staple of the Sonic Wings series known for its numerous playable characters. The page mentions that in addition to familiar faces, 6 new characters are being introduced, hinting at the rich storyline players can expect. The game is announced for release in May, priced at 9,800 yen. The next page introduces 2 characters, Mao Mao and Hien, who seem to be pilots for a new shooting game. Mao Mao is described as the face of the series, a former Air Force commander, while Hien is a ninja-like character. We see character design sketches for both of them, and Hien's weapons. The page reveals 2 new stages: the Ocean Stage, where you'll fight a boss submarine, and the Cloud Sea Stage, which involves battles in the clouds and using radar. Screenshots show gameplay in these stages. Excitingly, it's confirmed that the game will have a versus mode for one-on-one dogfights. The page emphasizes the intensity of these battles, appealing to fans of realistic combat. It also mentions an operator character who appears in the mission screens, with sketches showing her design evolving to be more refined for the final release. This game looks like it's pushing the boundaries of 3D shooting games on the N64, with its scale and exciting features. This page is dedicated to Mahjong University, which is essentially the N64 game Mahjong 64. It presents itself as a university to master Mahjong and become a pro. The page highlights the game's features, including a campus mode where you can play against various opponents to hone your skills and learn the algorithm to win. The curriculum section explains that the game offers about 30 different courses to teach you various Mahjong strategies and tactics, emphasizing that just winning isn't enough. You need to truly understand the game to get credit. Finally, investigation focuses on tracking your gameplay data, like average winning scores, losing scores, and even luck indicators, to help you analyze your playstyle and improve, claiming to measure your luck strength. The screenshots show the game interface and player characters, indicating a focus on both learning and competitive play within the game. Mahjong 64 was slated for release on April 4th at a price of 7,800 yen. This page is announcing the Tokyo Game Show 97, which is being held on April 5th and 6th at Tokyo Big Sight. Advance tickets are 800 yen, and same-day tickets are 1,000 yen, with elementary school children and younger getting in for free. The event is showcasing new titles for all kinds of home consoles, including the N64. The event schedule includes opening information, creator conferences with appearances from famous game creators, voice actor talk battles and live performances, the CESA Awards '96, and charity auctions. The show promises to be a large-scale event with over 400 game titles, including new releases for N64, SFC, and GB, making it a must-see for game fans. This page is showcasing upcoming Nintendo 64 titles. It emphasizes that there will be playable demos of many new games at an upcoming event, encouraging N64 fans to attend. Featured games include Human Grand Prix, The New Generation, a realistic Formula One racing game emphasizing polygon graphics and immersive gameplay. Multi-Racing Championship is another racing title, focusing on speed and offering on- and off-road racing. Go! Go! Troublemakers is an action game with cute character Marina, described as easy to pick up and play, using actions like grabbing, shaking, and throwing. Hexen is a 3D action game where up to 4 players can cooperate to save the world, selecting from classes like Warrior, Priest, or Magician. Blade and Barrel is a 3D shooting game currently in development, promising exhilarating aerial battles and stress relief. Genbare Goemon 5, The Legend of the Mystical Ninja, is a 3D action-adventure game featuring Goemon and Ebisumaru in a vibrant world, allowing for 2-player coupe. Jikyo Powerful Pro Yaku 4 is a baseball game, highlighting its improved 3D graphics and realistic pitching controls, with a focus on the success mode for player development. Mission Impossible is an adventure game based on the movie, featuring a thrilling story and a free viewpoint floating camera system. Finally, Morita Shogi 64 is a shogi, Japanese chess, game allowing for online play via modem, showcasing communication features. The Tokyo Game Show '97 showcased several upcoming and released Nintendo 64 titles. Racing games included the in-development Top Gear Rally, Rev Limit, featuring simulation and supervisor modes, and International Superstar Soccer 64. Wild Choppers offered combat helicopter action. Flight-based strategy Super Dimension Fortress Macross, another dimension based on the anime series, was highly anticipated. Fighting game Hiryu no Ken Twin utilized polygon characters. Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, Toki Senshi Turok in Japan, was a dinosaur-themed action game. Other titles included the Ego game Lightning Fast Ego, the Pachinko simulator Pachinko World 64, and the Mahjong game Mahjong Master. This page is showcasing upcoming games for Super Famicom and Game Boy. For Super Famicom, it highlights 2 games: Pro Mahjong Hei, a mahjong game featuring 16 real professional players with AI mimicking their styles, and Funitaro, a fishing simulation game emphasizing realistic boat fishing and diverse fish behavior. For Game Boy, the page introduces Mini 4 WDGB Let's and Go, a Mini 4WD racing simulator with parts customization and multiplayer via communication cable. Tamagotchi Club, Provisional, is also featured, bringing Tamagotchi characters from both Tamagotchi and New Species Discovery to the Game Boy, allowing players to raise up to 3 Tamagotchis simultaneously with new interaction commands and minigames. Lastly, Netu the King of Fighters 96, a Game Boy fighting game based on the popular SNK franchise, is presented, boasting single and team play modes and multiplayer capabilities using a communication cable, advertised as the 7th and best entry in the Netu series. This page is an interview titled Game Company President and Industry Key Persons Heated Dialogue, featuring Fujimoto Jun interviewing Nintendo's Takeuchi Genyo, who is the head of Manufacturing Department Development Division 3. The interview delves into the N64 era and Takeuchi's initial impressions when first meeting Mr. Takeda. The discussion touches upon the industry perception of the N64 being difficult hardware and the strategic differences between Nintendo and SCE, particularly in terms of software quantity versus quality. The interviewer asks about the current situation of PlayStation being popular and how Takeuchi views it. Takeuchi acknowledges PlayStation's success and SCE's focus on quality software over quantity, which differs from Nintendo's approach of encouraging many developers to create a wide range of software. He expresses interest in seeing how things will develop and mentions Parappa the Rapper as a challenging game example. Takeuchi reflects on the N64 as a console designed to change games, requiring new technologies and approaches, and not simply extending existing formulas. He emphasizes that the difficulty lies not in the N64 hardware itself, but in the act of creating entirely new games and effectively utilizing new technologies. This page features an interview with Takeda Genyo and Fujimoto Jun, discussing the Nintendo 64 and the evolving landscape of game development. Fujimoto talks about how hardware developers provide the ingredients and software creators cook with them, highlighting a shift from the fixed patterns of work seen in the Famicom era. He suggests that with the N64, game creators need to adapt to new approaches. Takeda agrees that game creation is changing, emphasizing the challenges and exciting potential of the N64. He's optimistic about the future games on the platform and mentions Miyamoto's confidence in them. There's also a section where Takeda describes his first impression of Fujimoto as a confident individual with a strong and grounded way of thinking, feeling a connection with him. This page is an interview with Hirofumi Takeda and Jun Fujimoto. They discuss the shift from 2D to 3D graphics in the gaming industry with the arrival of the Nintendo 64. Takeda mentions that in the 2D era, programmers could easily learn from successful games, leading to many similar games being produced. However, the N64 was designed to prevent this pattern of copycat games. Fujimoto adds that reverse engineering was common practice in the past, but with the N64, this is no longer effective and is considered unethical. They also talk about providing support to developers and offering basic programming tools to help them create unique and original games on the N64, rather than simply imitating existing ones. Takeda states that the industry is at a turning point with the N64, facing technical and structural challenges, but they are optimistic that a new era of gaming will emerge. He jokingly says, "Yes, I can already see the light." Laughs. The interview ends with Takeda mentioning teaching game development in Canada. The text also references the history of television games, starting with the simple tennis game Pong, highlighting the progression towards more complex 3D games like Super Mario 64. This page is an interview with Fujimoto Jun, discussing the intentions of N64 development. Fujimoto describes a unique school run by a Canadian teacher focused on fundamental game development principles like teamwork and core concepts, moving away from traditional console programming constraints. He mentions that the N64 is being approached as a computer to create software, emphasizing object-oriented programming. The 64DD hardware is ready for mass production, but compatible software is still under development and will take time. He also discusses the concept of using telephone lines, which can be interpreted as network features for the 64DD to enhance gameplay. The interview also touches on the N64 price reduction and the upcoming release of the 64DD. The page includes a photo of Fujimoto Jun and an image of the N64 console with the 64DD attachment. This page is focused on the Nintendo 64 price reduction. It highlights that from March 14th, the console's price is reduced to 16,800 yen, and Nintendo is aiming for a production of 1 million units per month from May. The page features an interview with Hiroshi Imanishi from Nintendo's Public Relations Department, who explains the reasons for the price cut. The main reason is to offer good products at a lower price, aligning with Nintendo's policy. The price reduction is possible due to increased production efficiency and lower semiconductor costs. The article confirms that there are no changes to the console specifications or included accessories. Regarding future price drops, Imanishi states that they are not currently planned, but further reductions are possible if the N64's popularity and market penetration continue to grow, similar to how the Super Famicom's price eventually decreased to 9,800 yen. The graph on the page shows the historical price drops of the N64, PlayStation, and Sega Saturn consoles in Japan, highlighting the N64's price reduction over time as unit sales increased. Nintendo is releasing The Legend of Zelda 64 on both ROM cartridge and 64DD. A recent announcement confirmed this alongside a price drop for the N64 console. The price reduction impacts distributors, worried about margins, shop owners, concerned about software, general users, welcoming the price drop, manufacturers, optimistic about sales, and securities analysts. Q&A sections address N64 software pricing, clarifying that not all titles will be cheaper, particularly those with special chips. Nintendo aims to keep prices down and negotiate with licensees. Another Q&A suggests details about the 64DD's pricing will be revealed later, hinting at a price potentially under 10,000 yen. The page also showcases screenshots from Blast Dozer, priced at 6,800 yen. Mother 3 is mentioned in relation to release timing. The article also discusses the dissolution of an assembly group and Nintendo's retail market commitment. This page introduces the SFC software rewriting service Game Kiosk. It explains that this Game Kiosk system allows users to rewrite game software onto special F-cassette memory cartridges at designated locations, like convenience stores. The service is for Super Famicom games, with older titles costing between 1,000 yen to 2,500 yen, and new titles from 3,000 yen to 6,000 yen for rewriting. The process is described as taking about 3 minutes, and involves purchasing an F-cassette, selecting a game at the kiosk, and having the store clerk rewrite the software. Questions answered include whether the service will extend to other consoles like Game Boy, GB, and if the F-cassette can be reused for rewriting multiple games, confirming it can be used repeatedly. The F-cassette uses flash memory, similar to the Satellaview memory pack. This page introduces the Game Kiosk service for Super Famicom, a new initiative from Nintendo to revitalize the SFC market. The service allows users to purchase F-cassettes preloaded with games that can be rewritten with different software later on. This summer, 6 new SFC titles will be launched on these F-cassettes, including a new Fire Emblem game and Super Mini Yonku 2. The page outlines the benefits of this system, contrasting it with traditional software sales where profits from used games don't reach the developers. With Game Kiosk, every rewrite brings profit back to the manufacturer. The Q&A section reveals key details. F-cassettes can store up to 8 games due to their 32 megabytes capacity. Empty F-cassettes will be sold for 5,000 yen. Initially, games using special chips like SA1 or FX chips, such as Star Fox, are not compatible, although backup RAM is supported. For a limited time, instruction manuals will be provided for free after rewriting, but this may change in the future. Rewriting will be available at 10,000 stores nationwide, including Lawson convenience stores, and takes approximately 3 minutes, even for 32 megabytes games. The service will launch with 100 SFC titles, featuring classic games like Dragon Quest, Zelda, and Mario, and spanning various genres including Ogre, Kukyoku, and Valken. The goal is to provide a solution to the issues of high software prices and the used game market, aiming to expand this concept to the Nintendo 64 in the future. This page features an article titled, Marigool Management Asks, Creator-Led Game Production, focusing on Marigool's system and their approach to game development. The article highlights an interview with Kenji Tominaga, President and Director of Marigool Management, who discusses creating an environment where game creators can freely express their creativity. It explains that Marigool Management, established jointly by Recruit and Nintendo, aims to support creators in making the games they truly want to make. Nintendo is mentioned as considering this approach to game development. 4 key advantages for creators working with Marigool are outlined. Creators can make the software they want, freely choose the hardware, retain copyright of their creations, and receive significant financial returns if their game becomes a big hit. Mario is featured in a speech bubble, seemingly representing Nintendo's perspective on this creator-focused system. The article suggests that big-name creators are expected to join by summer. Marigool is a company supporting software development, with a focus on game creation. They feature 6 teams, each with unique specializations. Parody Bit, led by Hiroji Tochi, is creating a sports simulation. Umbrella, composed of puzzle game developers, is working on an innovative game with interface elements. Parlem, headed by Kazuhito Ida, is developing an N64 game emphasizing technique. Clever Trick, led by Yasuhiko Abe, is developing a game centered around complex themes. Sal Brunei, with art designer Hirohito Matsumoto, is focusing on the N64 with the theme of Omotenashi. Noise, a 3D CG-focused team, is aiming to create arcade games that break genre boundaries. A Q&A section addresses common questions. Marigool welcomes creator proposals, though individual investment is not currently possible. Software releases are anticipated, potentially starting towards the end of the year, with a high likelihood of N64 releases due to creator interest. Key producers involved include industry veterans like Kazunari Ishihara, Naomi Ijiri, Koichi Nakamura, Hisakazu Hirabayashi, and Ken Kabayama, who provide creative and logistical support. This page introduces Dark Law, Meaning of Death, an authentic RPG for the Super Famicom. Promising a high degree of freedom, this scenario-clearing type RPG features a world and story that drastically change based on how you complete events. You can choose from 24 different job types, from farmers to nobles, each offering unique skills that can be further developed through job changes. Battles are action-based, with actions consuming action points. Magic is based on magic stones, and combining these stones allows you to create new spells. The game flow involves gathering information in towns, embarking on adventures, and leveling up by fulfilling requests. The page emphasizes the varied attack patterns and magic available in the game, and screenshots illustrate exploration, dialogue interactions, and combat scenarios. Released on March 28th, the game was priced at 8,000 yen. This page is a game preview for the Super Famicom title Solid Runner. It's a cyberpunk RPG set in the futuristic Solid City. Players take on the role of Detective Shu Earthskin, who uses a powered suit called Runner to solve cases. The game has a strong sci-fi robot anime feel, where you take on jobs, battle enemies, and upgrade your runner with parts. The game features a unique battle system, where attacks have rock-paper-scissors relationships for strategic combat. There's also an overboost system to temporarily increase attack power, which can be useful in boss battles. Players can purchase various weapons like arm spikes, missile launchers, beam guns, and stun knuckles to customize their runner. The game rewards players with money after missions, which can be used to buy new parts and weapons to strengthen their runner as the story progresses. The characters highlighted are Shu Earthskin, Eon, and Kirk. This preview highlights two upcoming Nintendo 64 games. Blastozer, an action title from Nintendo, tasks players with clearing paths and destroying objects using 15 vehicles. Releasing March 21st for 6,800 yen, reviewers found it enjoyable but challenging, requiring skill and strategic thinking due to puzzle-like elements. J-League Live 64, a soccer game from EAV, launches March 14th for 9,800 yen. It offers strategic play with 2 viewpoints and features 360-degree passing. Reviewers noted difficulty aiming and potential issues with the camera. The game might appeal to experienced players, as the balance was surprisingly easy to score, but the button input system for kicks could be confusing. The game is considered visually decent. Masanori Otake, Kazumasa Nakazato, Marina Sasaki, and Yasuhiko Goto reviewed these games. A delay for Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, was also noted. This page previews 4 N64 games. Human Grand Prix. The new generation, racing, boasts realistic handling and the use of the 3D stick, earning an 8/10, though sound effects were criticized. Doraemon. Nobita and the Three Fairy Stones, action, features Doraemon's gadgets and a fairy world storyline, but suffers from visibility problems, and received a 6/10. Turok. Dinosaur Hunter, action, impresses with its use of the N64's power, offering 3D maps and seamless movement, and earned an 8/10, but may cause motion sickness. Solid Runner. SFRPG, puts you in the role of a detective with a battle robot, and has enjoyable battles, but the movement system is cumbersome. It received a 7/10. This game preview covers 2 SFC games and a hot game pickup section focused on N64 RPGs. Dark Law. Meaning of Death, an RPG, receives a 7/10, praised for its story and battle system, but criticized for its difficulty. Professional Baseball. Passionate Stadium, a puzzle baseball game, scores a 6/10, with unique gameplay but pacing and mechanics issues. The Hot Game Pickup section, written by Mari Sasaki, expresses excitement for N64 RPGs and the potential of the 64DD to deliver expansive RPG experiences, anticipating titles with the quality of FFV2. The author highlights the desire for slower-paced games and emphasizes the importance of quality over quantity for N64 RPGs. A comic strip is also included. The next page is focused on Derby Stallion and provides a breeding guide to create the ultimate racehorse. It's the final part of a series. The page details 6 breeding strategies, labeled File 1 to File 6, using combinations of horses like Wild Again, Midnight Artie, Rainbow Quest, Real Shaddai, Northern Taste, and Platinum Rose Color. It highlights the importance of using Swift Swallow, or Amber Shaddai, in the breeding process to create strong offspring. The article also explains the sales prices of foals based on their growth type and level in the game, with prices ranging from 3,000 to 7,100, depending on if the horse is rated as delayed, late, normal, early, or super early developer. This page is focused on the N64 game Super Space Niter Pro Baseball King and introduces the Super Player Play mode. It explains that by using the Edit mode and entering specific names, throwing arm/batting stance, positions, and jersey numbers, players can create incredibly strong characters. A table is shown listing example player names like DADA, Sug, KIT, Sug, and, with their throwing/batting sides, positions such as catcher and outfielder, jersey numbers, and special abilities like running power S, outfield suitability and shoulder S, shoulder and power S, and special pitches such as SFF and knuckleball. Screenshots from the game highlight the player creation screens and options like throwing arm, batting stance, and defense position. It encourages players to experiment with these inputs to create powerful baseball stars, hinting at the possibility of creating home run hitters and other exceptional players. This page showcases cheat codes for two Super Famicom games. The first section covers Super Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, and details how to enter codes at the file selection screen. By inputting a specific sequence of L and R buttons, players can access a code entry screen. Several codes are listed with their effects. Hard R increases difficulty by reducing DK barrels. Tufts removes DK barrels but starts with a partner. Music unlocks all music tracks. Lives grants 50 lives. Save autosaves after clearing a course. Color changes the color of Dixie and Diddy. Merry changes bananas to presents and stars to bells in bonus stages. And Erase allows file deletion. The page notes that Hard R and Tufts codes require starting a new file. The second section is about Mini 4 WD Shining Scorpion, Let's and Go. It presents two cheat codes. The first, Course Out Prevention, entered at the title screen by holding B and inputting a directional and button sequence, prevents the car from going off course during free battles. The second cheat, Point No Decrease, also entered at the title screen with a button and directional sequence, prevents point deduction when purchasing parts. This effectively gives unlimited points to buy parts. The page emphasizes the timing sensitivity for entering these codes successfully. This page features tips and tricks for 3 Nintendo 64 games. The first section is about Mario Kart 64, specifically detailing a shortcut on the Canopio Highway course, which involves using a jump and dash mushroom to cut through a guardrail and wall to reach a lower road. The second section covers Chao Kukan Niter Pro Yakyu King, Super Space Niter Professional Baseball King, a baseball game, and explains how to easily improve your batting power using training mode. The final section is for JICU J-League Perfect Striker, Real J-League Perfect Striker, a soccer game, and describes how to create world-class players with very high stats by inputting specific names and faces as shown in a table. The page also includes screenshots from each game to illustrate the tips and features described. This page presents the Ura Waza Do section, dedicated to cheat codes and secret techniques for various games. First up is Dragon Warrior 2i for the Super Famicom, revealing a hidden invisible cat character in Ice's castle that you can talk to. Next, for Bomberman GB3 on Game Boy, a password DEB1F7F is shown to unlock a boss rush mode where you can battle all bosses consecutively and your performance will be ranked. For Momotaro Dentetsu HAPPY on Super Famicom, there's a trick to find out your play count by checking a specific location on the map from Osaka. Moving to Wizardry Gaiden the Far V. Heart of the Maelstrom on Super Famicom. A cheat is detailed to quickly return to the entrance of a training area dungeon by pressing the X button in front of a wall. Parlor Mini 4 on Super Famicom has a password-based cheat involving L, R, and Y buttons to view a special screen, with different screens depending on the password entered, including one for reaching 3 million yen in the game. Lastly, for Street Fighter Alpha 2 on Super Famicom, a technique for Ken, Vega, Nash, and Birdie allows for a different taunt animation by holding right on the D-pad and pressing the C button when taunting. The page also encourages readers to submit their own cheat codes and highlights the prizes for top submissions, categorized by level and prize money. This page is a Japanese game sales chart for the period of January 27th to February 23rd. It lists the top 50 best-selling games in Japan across various platforms, including PlayStation, Super Famicom, Nintendo 64, and Sega Saturn. At number 1 is Final Fantasy V-2 for PlayStation. Other highly ranked games include Donkey Kong Country 3 for Super Famicom and Mario Kart 64 for Nintendo 64. The top 50 chart includes many recognizable titles like Dragon Quest II, Super Mario 64, and Wave Race 64. There are pie and bar charts, showing market share and number of titles. The pie chart shows PlayStation dominating market share at almost 50%, with Super Famicom in second place. The bar chart shows PlayStation also leading in the number of titles within the top 100. Notably, even without counting Final Fantasy V-2 in the market share calculations, PlayStation still holds around half of the market. The text emphasizes the popularity of PlayStation and N64 in the market at this time. This text presents several top 5 rankings from February. The pre-release N64 software top 5 highlights upcoming games like The Legend of Zelda 64 and Star Fox 64. The post-release N64 software top 5 showcases established titles such as Mario Kart 64 and Super Mario 64. The post-release SFC software top 5 features games like Dragon Quest II and Super Mario Kart. Additionally, there are top 5 lists for strategy guides, comics, music, TV, anime and variety shows, and karaoke. Finally, a chart details the page count dedicated to the PlayStation game Kowloon's Gate in various gaming magazines, praising its unique setting, smooth gameplay, and quirky characters. This page is reporting from the Amusement Expo, AOU, with a Super Game Maz Game Award, and the theme of Sayonara Chikako Memorial Cup. One section highlights the Kobayashi Ase is Too Windy Award, discussing a Tamagotchi theme song CD by Kobayashi Ase, pondering if people still buy these kinds of things, and hoping Kobayashi Ase resolves JASRAC issues instead of focusing on easy money. Another section is the Rotate Yourself Award, describing a game machine where you rotate a bicycle, remarking on its tiring nature and that people are paying money to experience this exhaustion. Depending on the case, it will become a new Sex Industry Awards section, discusses fighting game machines, where players can see their opponent's face on a monitor during gameplay, humorously suggesting this could be a new form of adult entertainment. Finally, 6 Stages a Day Must Be Tough Award covers a band called Off Fighters and their performance on stage, noting that while they usually perform energetically, they appear still in the photo due to being between stages, and mentioning someone getting told off for trying to touch the stage to see how it moves. The next page covers various arcade games and trends seen at a show. The quote, Just Tall Awards section talks about a ride-like game called Frog Hopper that lifts you high and drops you. The Train, Is It Popular? Section discusses a train driving simulator arcade game, highlighting its realistic controls and the presence of train girls. The Lower Half Body Thoroughly Trained Award focuses on body motion controlled arcade games, mentioning skateboarding and snowboarding types, specifically Top Skater and Magical Tetris. The Probably Print Club Inspired Award is about print club photo booth machines, noting their customizability with text and drawings. Finally, the Painful and Pleasant Hima Hima Street Award describes less popular booths at the show, contrasting it with a low folk art festa. This page features 2 main sections, Oka Channel and Me, and Onigiri So Cool. The Oka Channel and Me section is a manga strip that humorously depicts the author's experience with the Pokemon trading card game GB. The manga shows characters excitedly playing the card game and discussing strategies, including evolving Pokemon and using card combinations. It highlights the card game's popularity and the fun of collecting cards and trading them. The panels also reference the Game Boy version of Pokemon and how popular the card game became from it. The Onigiri So Cool section is a column titled Casting Setup, discussing the process of casting talent for TV shows. It humorously talks about the behind-the-scenes realities of casting, suggesting that the process is not always based on talent, but often influenced by political balance within the entertainment industry. It mentions scenarios where talent agencies push for their artists, even suggesting unethical tactics to secure roles. The column uses a cartoon to illustrate these points, depicting a producer considering various attributes and pressures when casting. At the bottom, there's an advertisement for a Pokemon card game starter pack, priced at 1,300 yen, published by Media Factory. This page is a humorous collection of reader submissions and editorial discussions for Oga Channel. The editing conference section discusses topics like food during meetings and bizarre reader-submitted stories, including a festival in Hokkaido involving dragging ice sculptures, and a suggestion for the humorous name Sega Bandai. There's also a confusing drama dialogue sent in by a reader, and a question posed to readers about who their heroes are. Complaints about a column named P-Stock are mentioned, and a reader-submitted UFO photo is featured. The Office Likachan, age 11, section presents a handmade photo of a funny-looking wrestler and a big scoop featuring photos of supposed UFOs. On the right side, Ogachan's schedule lists TV programs on channels ASK and CIC, which include 95 Hong Kong movie Legend featuring Jackie Chan, and a cooking program called New Rice Cook and Funny Wife, seemingly as part of N64-related entertainment being promoted. At the bottom, there's an announcement hinting that Oga Channel might be ending next time, mentioning Yon Yon Club and requesting postcards from readers. The next issue forecast teases mobile phones reverse. This page is discussing the wave of price drops for the Nintendo 64 console, making games more affordable for consumers. Nintendo reduced the N64's price from 25,000 yen to 16,800 yen. Game Software is also seeing price reductions, with titles like Blastozer at 6,800 yen and Star Fox 64 with a Rumble Pack at 8,700 yen. Manufacturers believe that price cuts are due to competition with other consoles and the perception that cartridges are expensive compared to CD-ROMs, aiming to make games more accessible. An ideal software price according to manufacturers is around 5,982 yen, while the current average N64 software price is 9,462 yen. This data is based on a survey of 15 companies. The article mentions that the N64 has also launched in Europe, following its success in the US market, where 2.14 million units were sold in 3 months. Games released in Europe include Super Mario 64, Pilotwings 64, and Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire. Prices in Europe are around £200 in the UK, approximately 40,000 yen, and 399 German marks in Germany, approximately 28,000 yen. Finally, it states that out of 16 companies surveyed, 7 are considering reducing software prices, with examples like the Power Pro 4 controller pack, and games like Turok and Doraemon also seeing price reductions, indicating a trend towards lower prices in the N64 market. This price reduction is seen as good news for users who were hesitant to buy due to high prices. This page highlights a new strategy guidebook called Urawaza OU, which covers the latest games, including Mario Kart 64. It's a hefty 368-page full-color guide packed with secrets and tips. There's also a Bomberman-themed selector device from Hudson that lets you easily switch between 3 different AV game consoles, and it's priced at 1,980 yen. The page also mentions a campaign for the N64 Doraemon game, where you can win prizes like a NEC PC or a digital camera. To enter, you need to send a postcard with a keyword related to Doraemon before March 31st. Additionally, 2,000 people can win Doraemon balloons in a separate lottery by sending in a postcard included with the game. A movie called Time Leap, produced by Dengeki MM, starring Sato Akina, is also featured and is scheduled for release this summer. There's also a new sticker machine called Rakugaki Puri Seal, which allows you to create custom stickers with your own messages and illustrations, and even includes frames with popular characters like Likachan, Vitamin, and the idol Kanda Uno. Finally, it mentions the popular Pokemon anime, which started airing on TV Tokyo every Tuesday from April 1st, focusing on the main character Satoshi, known as Ash Ketchum, internationally. And lastly, a highly sought-after gold Game Boy Pocket is now available for general release after being initially limited, priced at 7,800 yen, with a separate AC adapter available for 1,500 yen. Colorful Subjectivity, a fan art section likened to Shin Getter Robo, showcases reader submissions for various N64 games. Artworks include a princess, Bule, and comments on Seiken game releases. Emilio art features a blonde woman with a Psy request. Fire Emblem art focuses on a warrior's tongue, while Genealogy of Holy War depicts a cute character. Mother art stars a pig, and Let's Cling Together highlights readers. Cactus emphasizes art quality, and Ogret shows a woman in a meadow. Please shows Link, and robotic vehicles are also present, with comments on Prevail and forest enemies. Collaborative art received points. Other artworks include Dragon Quest, MB, and Castlevania pieces. Lastly, Kaki Bancho is featured. The section ends with a submission address and notes about the magazine's layout. This page is a manga theater section, featuring humorous comic strips and reader submissions related to Nintendo 64 games. It is a section titled Dragon Quest IV showing a female character. Another panel mentions Wonder Project J2 and shows an anime-style girl. There's a segment dedicated to Metroid the Solitary Soldier, featuring a screenshot of Samus in her power suit and text discussing the weight of the armor. Zelda is featured with a comic strip, possibly referencing The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Another section is about Josette, with a screenshot and text, potentially referring to Jet Force Gemini. Ice Climber also appears with a character image and text. There's a section about Final Fantasy V-2 with a character illustration. Even though Final Fantasy V-2 is not an N64 game, it could be a reader submission referencing the popular game franchise at the time and its relation to N64 games being discussed or compared in the magazine. A section titled Tactics Ogre with character art and pumpkin-themed background is present. This likely refers to Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together. Another segment mentions Gaia Gensuki, which is likely referring to Illusion of Gaia. Though it was not an N64 title, again potentially a reader submission referencing related games. Finally, there's a panel with an anime-style girl in a bathing suit and a hat, accompanied by Japanese text. This page is a giveaway event called Present Detective Group by Amadeth Kun, aimed at new students and working adults. There are 8 N64 games and items up for grabs. First is Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, described as an action game where you defeat a destruction god in a Lost Land setting, emphasizing the thrilling action. 3 copies are being given away. Next is Human Grand Prix, a racing game focusing on realistic F1 racing with detailed CG courses. Again, 3 copies are available. Following is Solid Runner, an RPG set in a crime-ridden future where you solve cases with humanoid weapons called runners. 3 lucky winners can get this. Then there is Dark Law, Meaning of Death, another RPG where you save a dying world by mastering skills and embarking on adventures. 3 copies are also up for grabs. There is a software set that includes Saikyu Habushogi Mayujin and Aiku no St. Andrews, a shogi game, and a golf game respectively. 5 sets of these are being given away to celebrate the Nintendo 64 price drop. Also in the giveaway are Fujisaki Shiori telecards from Tokimeki Memorial and Girlsby telecards. Both are telephone cards, with 5 of each available. Finally, there are minigame Sokoban handheld games. 10 of these are being offered. To enter, you need to answer a questionnaire on a postcard and send it in with a 50 yen stamp by April 4th. Winners will be announced in the June issue of the magazine. This page is an advertisement for Jikyu Powerful Pro Yakyu 4-4, a baseball game. It highlights the success mode, where you can train players and power them up, arrange teams, and create original teams. Team data created in arrange mode can be exchanged with controller packs. Game modes include Exhibition, Pennant Race, Arrange Camp, and Success. The game is advertised at a suggested retail price of 8,900 yen and includes a controller pack and special seals. It mentions real commentators and professional baseball official record usage. The advert also promotes the Tokyo Game Show 97 event and CESA Grand Prize 96. This page is an advertisement from Nintendo seeking 3D designers and programmers to join their team. They are looking for individuals who are passionate about game creation. The ad details the required skills, which include experience in 3D modeling and animation, computer graphics, and programming using C language. The job roles involve creating real-time 3D games and pre-rendering illustrations. The application deadline is May 15th.